Hi guys, welcome back once again to my channel. I am Nkiruka Obaego. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cut the bubu gown you saw on the thumbnail. So already I've gone ahead to create my lines. Okay, I have my base point line there, my waistline and my hip line. Now on the base point line, I marked in my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. Okay, that's 16 divided by 2. Now I noticed that I did not impute my bust point measurement. Okay, so the bust point is 11 inches. Now from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark that in 11 inches. Okay, so after marking it in, I'm going to create our bust point line. This line is very necessary. Okay, so the next thing we are going to be doing is to divide our horizontal measurements by 4, and I'm going to be marking them out. Initially in this video, I added 1.5 inches seam allowance, but as I started sewing, I decided to eliminate it because I added zip to this bubu, so it is a fitted one, and of course my client will be able to wear it because of the zip at the back. So what I'm doing now is dividing my measurements by 4. Okay, and I'm marking them onto my fabric. So now the next thing I want to do is to mark in the hip measurement. That's 48 divided by 4. You can see me marking in the ease that I want. Okay, but just like I said, I eliminated it during sewing, so you may want to ignore that. So the next thing I did was to connect from my bust point to waistline and from waistline to hip. Then I smoothened the waistline area because of course you don't want it to be that sharp. So the next thing I want to do is to insert my length, that's sleeve length. So I marked 13 inches over there. Okay, maybe you cannot see that, but I marked 13 inches at the shoulder line there. Okay, so now I'd like you to know that when cutting this type of style, okay, you have to mark on the right side of your fabric, but because of this tutorial, I just want everything like my chalk mark to be very visible. That's why I'm marking on the wrong side of my fabric, but later on I'll still replicate everything I've done here on the right side. So to save you that stress, just go ahead and mark on the right side of your fabric. Okay, so on the hemline, I inserted my hip measurement there and I marked it out. And the next thing I'm going to do is to insert my sewing allowance. Okay, so I would like you to know that ease is different from sewing allowance. Okay, so now I'm going to connect the lines. So this is for my sewing allowance. Now I'll drag this fabric downwards so you guys will see what I'm about marking at the upper part of the fabric. Okay, so that butterfly effect is what I want to create. Okay, so just watch me and you will see how I created it. Okay, so I did a rough sketch on how to create the butterfly effect, okay, before I now use my chalk to mark it out. So just like you are seeing it, that is how you are going to sew. Now moving on to the neckline, I took 3.5 for the front and back neckline, and for the front neck depth I took 3 inches, but this 3 inches is not necessary, it's just like a reference. Okay, and for the back I took 1.5. So I'm going to be adding ½ inch shoulder allowance. This will be for joining our front fabric and the back. Okay, So for the zip allowance at the back, there's going to be a little bit of alteration. At the waistline, I came in by ½ inch, okay, and connect to the neckline of the back. And as you can see me doing, from the waistline, I also connected to the hip line. Okay, just observe what I'm doing. So after that, I'm just going to cut out our fabric. Now on the front neckline, okay, at the neck tip, I went in by 1 inch. That's the neck width. Did you get? So I went in by 1 inch, okay, and at my hip line here, I came down by 2 inches. All right, so I'm going to create a straight line. This is for the other fabric that will be added at the front here, okay. So now that I've created the line, I'm going to add ½ inch, okay, that I'll use to join the plain fabric to this one. So that is what I'm doing again here. Okay, I just redrew my line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark in the ½ inch that I will use to join the plain fabric to the Ankara fabric. You see, I've cut it out, and by the way, this is the bead we are going to be using for the beading part. So now I have my lining here, okay, and notice what I'm doing. I'm slitting the center front of my fabric. Oh, I've done that already. Okay, I've slitted it. Okay, the reason why I did this is because of that pointy part. Okay, looking at the style, there is a pointy part. The best way to achieve it very pointed like that is when you slit the center front of your fabric. It's just like sewing in a plunge neckline. Did you get? So I'm just indicating so you know that I'm going to use ½ inch to join the center front again. So our ½ inch that will be used for the joining automatically becomes our center front, and as you can see, there is shortage already for the front fabric. Okay, so I'm trimming it out at the back so that the back will not have more fabric than the front. Did you get? Since I'll be joining the center front, so I've cut out the excess fabric at the back. I'm going to notch this part, okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out our lining, and this is the plain fabric also I'll be using for the front. So here I'm marking the cutout of the Ankara fabric on my plain fabric, okay. Notice how I'm cutting this and how I'm making my markings. So the pointed area there, you see, I did not just cut it pointed like that, okay. I came down by ½ inch and also went in by ½ inch, as you can see, okay. It's not pointed, and I cut out all through, having my ½ inch joining allowance, okay. Now looking at the picture on the screen, this was how I placed my Ankara fabric on the lining and cut out. So now here I've gone ahead to sew in the lining to the front, okay, and back fabric. Okay, I just don't want to waste you people's time filming this, okay, and also wasting my own time. So already you guys know how to fix lining, so I just thought I'd do that off camera, Okay, so now this is the center front. The next thing I'm going to do is to, using my 1/2 inch allowance, okay, to join the plain fabric to the Ankara fabric. So now, because the fabric is too far away, I thought to bring this closer so that you can see how I notched the center front. Okay, that is where I'm going to be stopping. So I notched it, and I'll place my plain fabric. Meanwhile, I'm going to spread that out, okay, and place my plain fabric, and then I will sew on our 1/2 inch allowance. Okay, so now you can see me spreading the fabric out, and I'm just showing you guys how to place this. All right, so I'm going to notch the center of this plain fabric also, so that everything will align. So here is the notch, as you can see, and you can also see how I'm placing the plain fabric on the Ankara fabric. After that, I'm going to use my pins to secure. Okay, work with your pins in cases like this. Always work with your pins, not just in cases like this. So I'm going to pin all through, and I will sew it. So here I'm done sewing the plain fabric. You can see how neatly sewn is looking. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to finish this part up so that everything looks nice. And here I'm going to sew this up and attach my zip at that point. Here I've already attached the zip, as you can see. So now I've gone ahead to replicate the measurements on the right side of the fabric, just as I told you guys earlier. This is it. Okay, and I'm done sewing the plain fabric. This is the wrong side of it. You can see how neat it is also here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join the front and back at the shoulder like this. Okay, and notice that for the plain fabric I used the bias to finish it up. So here you're going to sew this part first, the wrong side, okay, before you turn to the right side of your fabric and sew the outer part. So while you sew to terminate, right? So this is it. I've done that. I've sewed everything. I've joined the shoulder. This is the line, as you can see. So the next thing we'll be talking about is the beading process. So I'll be using the invisible thread and my beading needle, and this is the bead we are going to be using. So guys, the most part of this bead work is going to be done off camera, okay, so that it will not take much of our time. So I'm just threading my needle with the invisible thread. Okay, and by the way, this bead I have here is called the plastic bead. I got to know about it when I was asking them for stone bead. So here I've started the beading. So for the second beading, I'm just going to pass through my needle, okay, on my fabric like this. Most of you know how to bead, so this video is not that close for you to see what I'm doing, but I believe majority of you can also bead, okay, and this is called the U-shape beading method. Okay, this type of beading is mostly used at the neckline, just like you can see me doing, and also the sleeve. It can be used for sleeve, to form a sleeve. So here I'm notching the second U-shaped bead that we've made. Okay, so I'm going to do most part of this beading off camera, guys. Okay, so after this, I think we're almost done. It's just the beading part remaining. Okay, so guys, here this is how far we've gone, and here we are almost done. You can see how far we've gone. So you're just going to use your eye to gauge in order to get the U shape. Can you see? So in beading this, you just have to be patient. You just have to be patient enough. So if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and also click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. Like this video, guys, like it so that others will get to see. Okay, at the down part of my gown, I added fringes to it. Can you see? This is because the Ankara fabric wasn't enough to get the full length, so I had to add the fringes. You can see, so feel free to add fringes to yours. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. Subscribe, click on the bell button, and do not forget to like. Okay, bye.